I found my microphone. I can finally have my air conditioning running while filming my video because before I just couldn't because my phone would pick it up and it just made like a whirring sound that literally drove me crazy. But now I have a microphone and hopefully it doesn't pick that up because I need my AC to be on so I don't turn into a puddle. Anyways, such a random moment there. Thank you for clicking on today's video. We are going to be talking today about affordable makeup and how to apply it using very little tools. This is really all I use today, and you could really just use just this. A crease brush and a beauty sponge. In today's world, I feel like everything is expensive, and it's not reasonable for a lot of the population to spend $100 on 2 items at Sephora, you know what I'm saying? If you can just stroll on into your local drugstore, your local CVS, pick up some products that work just as well as high-end, then there's really no reason to spend $60 on a new foundation. For my returning subscribers, I'm sorry I've been away for a little bit of time. I actually was in the hospital because my apartment is extremely unsafe and we are getting ready to move out. So you might notice that 2 of my banners, posters, whatever, are not on the wall anymore, and that's because they fell off, and because I'm moving soon, I just was not bothered enough to put it up. So I'm sorry if the aesthetic is not as good as it once was. This whole process of moving out and, getting maybe attorneys on board is not cheap. And a lot of us don't have a lot of money at our disposal. And sometimes life happens and almost everything in this society I feel like costs money. And to have a little bit more change in your pockets in situations that kind of come out of the blue and are totally unexpected can really make all the difference. All these products I'm going to be talking about are affordable, work just as well as high-end, and will get you this nice, fresh, clean-faced, pull together your skin but better look. So without further ado, because I feel like I just ran my gums there, let's get started with the actual tutorial. First things first, not that anyone really cares this much, but you might be like, Tim, that shirt's looking a little oversized, a little baggy on you, and you know what? You are right, but I love it because it is intentional. And this shirt ends right below like my waist, and yes, I'm wearing my pajama pants with this because I was too lazy and not bothered enough to change my pants. So forgive me if that is sinful. Anyways, that was a tangent. Let's get started with the actual makeup because that's what you guys are probably here for. I just want to emphasize that this is kind of like a full face of makeup. But at the end of the day, like, makeup is so personal and there's really no rules to how you do it and what products you use. So if at any point you're like, I don't think I need that product, then, listen to your own intuition and make your own judgments because, yeah, you probably don't need every single product I'm sharing. And part of just living life in general is just figuring out what works best for you. Okay. That was the mental health nurse in me coming out. Let's start with primer. For primer, I've really fallen in love with this Wet n Wild Impossible Primer Stick. I use this so much, even with like higher end products. And it basically is a pressed kind of stick compact version of this primer. This one comes out like a gel that you kind of would just normally press into your skin, kind of like a Smashbox primer. But I find that this does a very similar effect, if not the exact same effect, and is more conveniently packaged, in my opinion. If you're someone who wants your makeup to last longer, like you're working a shift, I wholeheartedly recommend this e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I get the +4% niacinamide version. They also have like the green original version, and I think Essence also has another very similar product to this. I have not personally tried that myself, but I have heard really great things about it. A gripping product like this is gonna do exactly what it says, grip that product to your skin. It also will kind of create a smooth canvas as well, and overall just increase the longevity of your makeup. But a product like this does also help to increase longevity. I feel like not as much as like a gripping primer like that, and it does fill in your pores to some capacity, but I find that this product really works well with a lot of different foundations. Sometimes with certain primers, it will not jive with certain formulas that you're using in your makeup routine, and I find that this works really well with a lot of them. This is an incredibly versatile primer. You can also just like go all over your face. I'm just gonna use it in like my T-zone area and just parts of my face where I feel like I have larger pores. Let's also talk about skin prep real quick because this is a super important thing. If you're going to be going outside in the sun, you are definitely going to need a sunscreen underneath your foundation. A lot of foundations do not have any sun protection factor or SPF in them, and when they do, it typically is not, it's really not a lot. and you would need to use a lot of product to really make the most of that sun protection factor that is in it. So I always just recommend having another sunscreen underneath your foundation. Sunscreen is going to help prevent photo aging. It's, you know, there's no way to guarantee you're not going to get skin cancer or anything like that, but it does help decrease your risk of it. If you're going to be outside in the sun at all, I would definitely recommend having a sunscreen underneath. The scinic, I don't know how to pronounce it, sunscreen. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head because I used to wear that one all the time, and I bought like a 2-pack. I used up one of them and gave the other one to my boyfriend. That is an incredible sunscreen that also works really well under makeup and gives you a really great level of sun protection. That was my little spiel about sunscreen. And if you have dry lips like me, this LA Girl lip mask is actually really great. Is it as good as, say, like Laneige or even, let's see, this is my favorite, the Torriden Solid Lip Essence, which I also think is pretty affordable as well. In my opinion, not really, but this still does give you a great level of hydration to your lips. I really appreciate this product. It has a nice plastic tip on it, which I feel is really great at kind of spreading the product on your lips and not soaking it up. Kind of let it sit and marinate on my lips and kind of just nourish them while we do the rest of our makeup. Works well, is really affordable, 100% recommend. Now that we prepped our skin, let's go into like actual makeup, you know what I'm saying? I just want to say disclaimer that drugstore brands are notorious for not having a great shade range. And unfortunately, that's a reality with a lot of makeup brands, to be honest, not even just drugstore. But I feel like a lot of brands nowadays are putting more effort into expanding their shade range, but the drugstore still has a lot of work to do with that, in my opinion. Lighter coverage and skin tints are definitely in right now, and these tinted hydrators by Wet n Wild are amazing. If you're new here, you might not know that I'm a nurse, and I would wear these to work like almost every day if I was doing my makeup, and this like actually lasted a really long time and it wore off evenly. I find that it doesn't get as patchy as other products do when they wear off, which is surprising, especially for a light coverage kind of moisturizing formula like this, which tend to kind of patch and not be as long wearing as a more mattifying product. Even though I wholeheartedly recommend this product and it is very affordable, I would say if you're willing to splurge a little bit at the drugstore, and these are still relatively affordable, especially compared to other products that exist out there. The L'Oreal True Match foundation is amazing. I truly believe that this is one of the best products at the drugstore that you can buy, and the formula really competes with a lot of higher end formulas that you would get at like Sephora. And the L'Oreal True Match shade range is excellent, especially for a drugstore brand. The Wet n Wild Photofocus foundation, if you want a little bit more coverage compared to this, is also amazing. They have 2 different finishes. They have a more mattifying finish, which is better if you have more oily skin, and they also have a dewy finish if you have more dry skin, or it's up to your makeup preferences as well. When it comes to applying your foundation, theoretically, this is a product that you could definitely just use your hands with. For the sake of demonstrating it, I'm going to be using this really affordable Wet n Wild sponge. I'm not sponsored by Wet n Wild. They just have really great affordable products that just work. This sponge I really appreciate because it is quite soft, it's affordable, and when you dampen it and you kind of roll it up in a paper towel, which is how I recommend using this, it expands quite a bit, so it gets the job done really fast when it comes to applying your makeup. This product is fabulous because it does give you like a nice healthy look to your skin, but I find that it actually is not too dewy like you might think it is, especially for a tinted product like this. It gives you like a pretty natural finish with a little bit of shine, and I feel like that's probably why it lasts better than a lot of other products like this, because it's not completely oily and dewy and greasy. It actually has a little bit, just a tiny bit of a matte quality to it. I feel like it's a little bit more versatile with other skin types because of that. I will say that this product does tend to oxidize a little bit, so if you're going to buy a shade, I would take it maybe a step lighter because it does get a little bit darker as it sits on your skin. Once again, I'm just going to mention it, like, not a great shade range for this product, so if you're willing to spend just a little bit more, this is it. CVS, I find, tends to have a lot of coupons if you have the extra care card for L'Oreal. As you can see, it gave me like a decent amount of coverage. It's not a lot, right? But it gives me a decent amount where I feel like my skin's more evened out. It feels nice and hydrated. It creates like a nice base for us. I look a little bit washed out because I definitely got it in my eyebrows. In terms of my skin itself, it looks really great. If you're someone that doesn't have a lot of dark circles, you could actually take this product and go just heavier like underneath your eyes, and that will give you a little bit more coverage in that area, but you're not needing to use another concealer on top of that. I don't really struggle with too much darkness under my eyes, but there's plenty of people out there that do. And I find that this concealer right here from Maybelline, the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, is amazing. It's relatively crease proof. Like nothing's really 100% creaseless, but this product is relatively crease proof because it's not too heavy. It provides a nice level of coverage, and that is what I really appreciate about this product. And I'm just gonna apply it kind of like this hollowness, just kind of like balance out the light a little bit. If you're looking for a little bit more coverage, e.l.f. Camo Concealer is also really great. They have a hydrating and a more mattifying version of that as well. I used to use the hydrating one a lot and I loved it. And I'm just gonna use a sponge to bounce out some of this concealer. But like I said, you could also just use like a clean finger. Where's my hand sanitizer? Okay, here it is. You could just take a clean finger and kind of just bounce it out as well. And with this technique, actually, you're not really removing too much of the product. Like some of it is going to go on your finger, yes, but with the sponge like this, it is going to soak up the product. And as you can see, that just kind of like canceled a little bit of the darkness. These puffs from Amazon you can also use to apply your foundation and concealer as well. This will give you a little bit more coverage because it will not soak up as much product as like a beauty sponge like this. And it's really great for like setting your under eyes with powder if that's what you want to do. I understand it's not in everyone's budget to buy a whole set of brushes. I'm trying to use as many alternatives as I can that work. And to be fair, you don't really need a huge set of like nice brushes. You can splurge, treat yourself, and that's totally your prerogative. Like if you want to do that, go for it. But do you really need it? No, you don't. A lot of people on the internet are really into stick products. Stick blushes, stick bronzers, stick contours. You could just go to the drugstore and pick up a stick foundation that is a few shades darker to use as your contour, bronzer, whatever you want. This is the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Stick Foundation. This is great. This product stretches well, it blends well, and has great staying power. It's also versatile like the Wet n Wild skin tint, and it works with a lot of different skin types. And you really don't need much of it. I'm just gonna stamp just a little bit here. I don't like to hollow out my cheekbones too much. You can see this is like a great shade for me. It works great for like a little bronzer contour moment. I need to get my hair out of here. I do not need stick foundation in my hair. It's too late. It's too late. We're just gonna bounce it out, and it just blends beautifully. Yeah, this product really stretches. You don't need too much of it. Put a little under your jaw, take it up a little bit, just kind of give the illusion of a slimmer jaw. And you can always use like another side of the sponge that you didn't really use much product with and kind of just blend it out a little bit more, just so it doesn't look quite as harsh. And if you want to do a little bit of nose contour, you can squeeze a little bit of the sponge after you kind of blended out the rest of your face and kind of just press it on the sides of your nose. It's not going to be as precise as using a brush, right? But it'll give a little bit more of a shadow. Green blushes are also in. I have the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush and also the Chic Glam Color Bloom Liquid Blush. These are great. They're also affordable, and the quality of the formula itself is very similar to a lot of higher end formulas, I feel. I'm just gonna dot this where I want it. I'm gonna go right here. You can use however much blush you want, and everyone's face shape is different, right? And I think experimenting and seeing what works best for you is the best way to go about this. I find that this formula of this product is really similar to the Rare Beauty like liquid blush. What is it, the Soft Pinch liquid blush formula, except that this has like that kind of sponge tip applicator, whereas this has that doe foot applicator. And I'm gonna just use my finger to blend this out a little bit. You can use a sponge, but that's gonna soak up a lot of the product and you'll lose a little bit of the pigmentation. I recommend just softly tapping the blush out. Take it in wherever you want it. You always want to make sure your fingers are clean and dry because sometimes like the oil on our fingertips can disrupt the makeup a little bit. Quick tip from me to you. And also you don't want to make yourself break out, right? If you feel like you want a little bit more pigment, you can always just go in again. If you're like, oh, I put on way too much, and you can always just go in with your sponge and just kind of press it out a little bit. So let's talk about setting powders. What do you know? Wet n Wild comes through with some great powders. I have here the Wet n Wild Photofocus translucent powder, well loved or poorly taken care of, and I also have the Wet n Wild Bare Focus clarifying finishing powder. These are both fantastic. If you want something a little bit longer lasting, I would go for the Photofocus translucent powder. You can bake with it, but if you're kind of on the go, you want something like easy, you can just throw in the purse or throw in your bag for a quick touch-up. This product will really work great for you. I believe that this comes in 3 different shades. It comes in translucent, banana, and a deeper shade. We're gonna go into the loose translucent powder today. I'm gonna show you how to apply this powder in different ways. This sponge has a nice flat tip on it. You can also just use this side too, but this flat tip kind of mimics the surface, kind of like the flat surface that you would get from a puff like this. I would say you want to pour out a little bit of the powder into the lid and kind of just press that sponge in there. You could literally just press this underneath your eyes like that. And as you can see, it's leaving behind that pigment that these powders are actually really great for. It really blurs and it has a decent amount of pigment to it that helps cancel any darkness that you want to get rid of. So as you can see right there, huge difference. This has a lot of shine and this looks just very blurred, almost borderline filtered, and also helps cancel out the appearance of pores. Same concept with the puff. For me personally, like I'm not a huge fan of baking, so I would probably tap off a little bit of the excess and then just go right in and set it out. You can take it down other areas of your face where you want to dull up the shine a little bit. If all you have is just a grease brush on hand, you can once again take some of the powder, I need a little bit more. Kind of just swirl it in there. Make sure it's kind of like really ingrained into those bristles. Tap off the excess. Whew, that was a lot. And just kind of apply it wherever you need it. So I'm gonna apply it on my nose. You also can set your under eyes with this as well. I would do like a pressing, and then you can do like a little bit of a swiping motion as well. Not too aggressive because you want to move your products, just enough to kind of like sweep off any excess powder. If you're someone who's more into powders or you have more oily skin, you might want to lean towards a powder bronzer. This bronzer is phenomenal, it's very affordable, and it just blends beautifully. Now, if you're going to use a product like this, you might want to invest in like a nice fluffy brush like this. So you can just kind of like be more precise with it, and it will distribute the product better than like a sponge would, because sponges typically work better with more liquid cream products. But if you're using that kind of cream bronzer, you probably wouldn't really need this, unless, like I said, you have more oily skin and you're more into powders. You can take a little bit of this, have a little quick contour your nose moment. You don't want to invest in an eyeshadow palette. You can just take some of this bronzer and put it in your crease, and it'll give more depth. I'm going to put a little bit of bronzer on my eyelids. You can take a little bit underneath. I will say though, if you really want probably the best bronzer at the drugstore period, and maybe just one of the best bronzers of all time, this formula is just like next level. It blends seamlessly, it lasts a long time, and it's very easy to work with and very beginner friendly. Let's move on to highlight. You guys, this Revlon Skin Lights highlighter, I think it's like the prismatic highlighter, is so good. The Maybelline, what's it called? The Maybelline Master Chrome highlight, I don't know where I put that. I do have it. That's also fantastic, and it's really metallic, and if you want like a blingy highlight, wholeheartedly recommend that. If you want like a glowing highlight, like this is it. Ooh, this is just stunning. Could use your finger with this and just kind of press it in. Shit, I need to use this more often. That is gorgeous. You can also use your crease brush and apply it like this, and just glow, baby, glow. Kind of put it on areas where you want a little bit more prominence, you know what I'm saying? You want to bring light to it. Take a little bit and put it underneath your brow bone, like that. If you really want to, you can take your finger and just press it on kind of towards the inner corner of your eyelid and drag it out. And you kind of got yourself like a little bit of an eyeshadow look with 2 products that you already use, and you don't need to invest in another eyeshadow palette. For me personally, I feel like I need to do my brows, and when it comes to brow pencils, this has to be one of my favorites. This is the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil that I also believe is marketed as waterproof. It's kind of hard for me to find like a nice taupe like this at the drugstore. It's like not too warm and leans more on the cool side, which I feel like for me is better. So You want to take the spoolie end, kind of just brush your eyebrow hairs. Just kind of get a little bit of that product that you might have gotten in it, like I did in the beginning with foundation and shit. And brush it out, kind of provide a little bit more of a shape to work with, and go from there. And I'm not a huge fan of like really pigmented dark eyebrows, so I find that this taupe shade is great for me. And you see like my eyebrows don't look super drawn in. It appears that there are more hairs there than there actually are, and it still looks pretty natural, which is kind of what I'm going for. When you're doing your brows, it's always like a good tip to kind of just turn your head as you're working with your brows, just because, you know, we're three-dimensional and you're not gonna be always front-facing to every person that you're gonna meet. Not that you wear makeup for other people, but I think it's just important to take into account like all different angles of your face when you're doing like your brows. Personally, I'm someone that really enjoys a nice eyeliner, and Essence has got you there. They have these Essence Stay in Play gel eyeliners that are amazing. They're affordable, they last really long. They initially come on kind of creamy, and you're able to work with them. Once you're done, it stays put, which is kind of like in the name, right? Stay in play. We're gonna go with the brown today, just because brown looks a little bit more natural. This is not a necessity. You don't need an eyeliner, but if you're someone like me who wants a little bit, you can just go straight into your lash line. And I like to keep it close to my natural lash line. And I just like to pull it out just a little bit. See, that just gives like my eyes a little bit more depth, right? You can take a clean fingertip. Here's my hand sanitizer. You can just kind of pull the product a little bit out. And that'll give you like a very subtle cat eye effect, where it's not full-blown cat eye, but it does give your eye like a little bit more of a lift. It's very subtle, but that's kind of the goal of this look, right? Pull it, drag it out a tiny bit, and then take your fingertip and kind of pull that product out. And there you go. Not everyone was blessed or cursed with straight, flat lashes like I have been, so you may not need to do this step. But I always need to use a lash curler. If I just apply mascara straight to my lashes, girl, you're not gonna see nothing. Unless you're like looking from the side, then you're just gonna see like just flat lashes. This is an e.l.f. eyelash curler. I believe it's the professional pro version of it. Very affordable and works great. It hugs my lashes perfectly, and I can just go straight in and curl them. LOL, like you can with any other lash curler. A little tip from me to you: if you want your eyelashes to stay curled a little bit longer, take your hair dryer and just blow warm air onto your lash curler, and that tends to elongate the length of time that your lashes will stay curled. Just be wary when you're doing that, because if it gets too hot or you do it too often, you can definitely damage your lashes. I'm just going to take my finger and kind of separate my lashes a little bit. Everyone's lashes are different, so different mascaras are going to work better for different people. For someone like me who has short, stubby lashes that like to fall after like 30 minutes, a waterproof mascara will do the trick for me. L'Oreal, I find, has probably the best waterproof mascaras at the drugstore. If you're someone who doesn't really struggle with that and you want like a nice voluminous look to your lashes, the Falsies Surreal by Maybelline is a really great option. I actually like to use these two together. It's not within everyone's means to buy two mascaras. I'm just going to use the voluminous Hydrofuge mascara by L'Oreal. And the other one I have here is the Lash Paradise. Brush up. Don't want to wiggle your lashes around too much initially because they're more likely to fall. And once you do that, then you can do this like wiggling motion and kind of be a little bit more aggressive with your application. It's subtle, but not only is it lifting up my lashes, it's also kind of opening my eyes up and making me look more awake. This look is pretty much complete. I could leave it like this if I want, but a lot of us want something on our lips, right? I do have that mask on already, but some of us maybe want a little bit more. LA Girl has got you with affordable lip liners that are fantastic. This is the LA Girl Perfect Precision Lip Liner. I have used this so much. I've traveled with it, I've worn this to the hospital when I'm working my shifts, and I wholeheartedly recommend this. And what I really like about this lip liner, why am I talking while doing this? It's all good. It's creamy, but it has a nice firmness where you feel like it's not going to spread and bleed too much. It's easier to work with without it like getting everywhere. To be fair, you could totally just fill in the rest of your lips and use this like a lipstick. If you want a little bit more hydration, a little bit more shine, for those that are trying to budget, you can just take your favorite lip balm. This is the Burt's Bees Pomegranate, and just go in like this. And I think that would be good enough for most people. But if you want to go in something more glossy, you can go in with the e.l.f. Glow Reviver Lip Oil, or I also really enjoy this too, the NYX Professional Fat Oil Lip Drip. I'm going to put the e.l.f. one on. If you want to take it another step further, there's been a lot of steps so far, you can use a setting spray. I really, really enjoy the Wet n Wild Fight Dirty Detox Setting Spray. There's a fuzz flying around. This is really fantastic if you have more oily skin, if you want your makeup look to last a little bit longer, and it is very affordable. Oop, I think the sprayer on this is broken, but typically the mist is really nice. Woo! If you're someone who wants to splurge just a little bit more and get more value out of your product, go for this. This is the Milani Make It Last Original Natural Finish 16-hour setting spray. This definitely elongates the wear of your makeup, and you can also use this like as a primer as well. The sprayer on this is nice. It's a little bit more aggressive than I would say like this Wet n Wild one. If you want a little less of that mattifying look than this provides, and want something that's also multi-purpose, this is fantastic. And it's a huge bottle too, like, this ain't got shit on this, I'm sorry, like, you tiny. We're gonna use this today, even though the sprayer is not playing around with me today. Still very nice though, even broken. And that just about completes this look. You can always go in with your sponge or your puff and kind of press your makeup down. Just kind of really lock everything in and blend everything together. I'd be very happy to go out looking like this. I look very fresh, pulled together, look like I have a little something extra like my skin but better without looking too overboard. Obviously, do makeup however you want, right? But this is just perfect for kind of like my vibe, and I feel like the vibe that's like popular these days. Hi. Thank you. I'll be done like 5 to 10 minutes. How's my makeup look? Cute. Can you tell that this was a very affordable makeup look?
No.
No? Yes. That's the goal, right? Listen, in this economy, I feel like everything is uppriced and so many things are just not worth it in my opinion. A lot of these products I use today I think are just as good, if not better, than a lot of higher end formulas. Let me be real, like a lot of these products, their packaging is not the best. A lot of times the plastic hinges break and things like that, but I want my products to work. I don't really care too much about the packaging. Everything today worked beautifully. They worked great together. Of course, if you have the means to do so, spend your money however you want. I appreciate you guys watching today's video. Thanks for hanging out with me, and stay tuned for more upcoming content. I'm not going anywhere. Take it easy and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video.